Hi everybody, it's Cray with Let's Make Art, and we do tutorials. I can't just say watercolor now because Let's Make Art encompasses different mediums, but I do watercolor. And my name is Cray. Did I already say that?
I think so.
I did. And this is the project that we're doing today, our holiday wreath. Oh.
Got a bubble in my throat.
Okay. Oh, good. It was still good, Keenan. It was still good. For this project, we have 3 colors, and we are using 2 paintbrushes. Our paintbrushes are around 6 and around 2. These are our go-to brushes. I use them for like 95% of the project, so you guys don't have to keep buying brushes. However, I would suggest having a few other brushes in your pack for fun and different things. Okay, the colors we are using are red, pine green, and sepia. That's it, just those 3 colors. And we are going to do this wreath in 4 steps. So the very first step is we are going to put in the larger elements. So like these bigger leaves, that's what we'll put in. Second step, we'll do the medium elements. Third step, the smaller elements. And then the very last step is just some finishing details. Okay, so for our warm-ups, there's a few things that I just want to point out. The biggest one, and this is not a new warm-up, it's something that I talk about probably every single painting because it's that important, are values. Values are the lightness and darkness of a color. If you want your painting, whatever you're painting, to seem like it has more dimension, you have to have values in there, different values. So in watercolor, to get a lighter value, all you have to do is add more water or have more water than paint on your brush. So we'll go from light value to dark value since I usually teach the opposite way. So I'm going to get my round 6 wet, and I'm going to hit it off the side of the cup so it's not dripping, and I'm going to grab just a little bit of color. And this is why I like the butcher trays, because in like these where there's just the inkwells, it's a little bit harder to control how much paint you're getting, where like you can pull paint off to the side and then just grab. So here's me just grabbing a little bit of paint, and here is my light value. And then as I keep adding more and more paint, the values are going to get darker. Now, if you see that you're getting a texture, I just want to show you. If you're getting a texture like this, see how that's rough? That's just saying that your brush is too dry. So dip your brush, hit it off the side of the cup a few times, and that will help you get a smoother line. And you can see the more paint that I pick up, the darker my values are going. And if you look at our wreath here, we have lots of values. So we have darker values here, and then we have like, this is a very light value right here too. So we have everything in between. So while you're painting your leaves and your greenery and even your berries, that's how it kind of feels like there's dimension, is by different values of berries. Make sure you have that in there while you're painting. The next thing that we're going to go over is just different leaf shapes. So for me, I like my leaves to have a bigger middle and a narrow top and bottom. So I essentially just draw it like so and then fill it in. There are some ways where you can do it in one brush stroke. So if I'm just like light pressure and then push down and then light pressure again, you can do it that way. Whatever's easier. I do it both. But if you're not quite there with the pressure, because that just takes some practice, you can just outline it and then fill it in. There's nothing wrong with that. And then, so I do my leaf shape, and then on some of them, I make them have that serrated edge. And so whenever I do the serrated edge, I just kind of add some pokies on the edge. Okay. We also have, I'm not going to go over berries because those are just dots. You think that's okay?
I think that's fine. I was going to say how cool I think the dry brush technique look is.
Yes, and actually, we've never purposely really used the dry brush technique in any of the tutorials, but in our birch tree tutorial that's coming out later this month, we do use this technique for the bark. Yeah, so it's pretty fun.
I'm excited for that.
Okay, and then we also have these kind of like, would you call these like fir? Was this a fir tree when they have needles like this?
Christmas tree.
That's the technical name.
Yes. Very few people call it its correct name, which is Christmas tree.
So we have some Christmas tree needles. That's all I'm going to say. And to do those, I'm going to switch to my round 2. I'm going to grab some paint. And then I just do a line, like so, and then have little pokies coming out. Like so. So we have a few of those. Yes, yes. And also I would like to say, you are free to absolutely change up the type of leaves if you want to do specific botanicals or greenery that have significant meaning to you. Please feel free to do that. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. Do whatever you want. It's your painting, it's your life. All right, let's, oh my gosh, we didn't do our oath. Okay, so raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
And I promise not to compare my work.
I promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
And I promise to have fun.
I did that instead. So much fun. Okay, let's start. You can keep your scratch paper handy if you need it to test colors or anything. Okay, so we're going to start by putting an outline down. Circles are really hard to draw perfectly, so I don't even attempt them. I just get something to just softly trace. So I'm just going to use this paint palette here. And just when you're aware, when you're doing wreaths, you usually don't want the edge of whatever you're tracing to be too close to the edge of your paper, because you do, like if this is my circle here, you could see that there's elements on both sides of the circle. So if your circle edge is too close to your paper, then your elements will go off the edge of the paper, which is very frustrating. So get something small enough that it won't go off the edge. Okay, so now I have a guide of kind of where to start putting my things. The other thing I want you to notice before we start is with wreaths, you can really change the weight depending on how many elements are there. So you can see that the bottom of this wreath is really weighted and heavy because it's so thick. And as it goes up, it thins out, and I even leave this space bare up here. You don't have to do that. You can continue it all the way around. You can have an even weight around, or maybe you want to do opposite, or maybe just one side is really heavy and then it lines this way, whatever. There's so many different options. Okay, so step 1, we're going to put in our larger elements. So I'm going to grab some pine green, and this green is a cooler green, as in I feel like it doesn't have a lot of yellow and leans more to the blue side, which is great because we have the sepia here to mix in to create a warmer green. See how that feels like a little bit warmer than this one? Mm-hmm. So you guys can choose. I'm going to use both, but personally I tend to lean more towards the yellow, like the warmer greens anyway. So I'm going to have both, but you can do whatever you want.
It's like you got like a warm green cardigan, a hot cocoa, and a fireplace. Just cozy.
So cozy.
You know?
That's all I want, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So since my bottom I know is going to be thick, when I do these leaves, I'm going to kind of do it more on the inside, knowing that I'm going to have like berries and stuff. So I'm going to start on the bottom left-hand corner. You don't have to start there if you don't want, just wherever you want your big elements. And I'm just going to do a few leaves. And something that I do to kind of help me remember to do different values is I'll pick up color and start putting it down and just rinse my brush and not pick up any more paint. And then that way I'll have different values in my painting. Okay, and then I'm going to do some bigger ones coming down here. You can leave a white center in the middle of your leaves if you want by just painting half and then the other half. This one I'm going to kind of add a serrated edge here. So I'm just kind of poking out a little bit.
I think I've said this before, but whenever I look down at the example photo,
Yeah.
it makes me think of we're looking at the top of a man's head.
I could see that. Like if he had a nose coming out right here.
Yes.
I'm just going to leave that there.
Thank you.
Okay. And then if you want like a black green, like a really desaturated green, mix some red in with your pine green and you'll get this green, which I think is gorgeous also. So really have fun with mixing the different colors.
Can you pull that to your right?
Yeah. Can they see that color now?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, that's pretty. But if you mix too much red in there, it will go like almost full black brown, so have more green. Okay. And then I'm going to have some greens up here. And also I just want to say that when you're doing this part of the project, it's really easy to like paint one leaf and then be super mad at it because you're like, that looks really weird. And then you just get like really angry. But I'm telling you, first off, never judge a painting by the first few brush strokes because the more you add, the harder people will like take notice of one leaf. There are so many different elements going on here that like one wonky leaf is not going to ruin the effect. So just like don't judge your painting. If you have a wonky leaf, most of the time just leave it because if you try and like keep messing with it, that sometimes just exaggerates the problem or makes it more obvious. So it's like, okay, that's just a weird leaf and I'm just gonna let that be and I'm just gonna keep painting and paint around it, and by the end you probably won't even be able to notice it. Or whoever's looking at your painting won't be able to really notice it. And I'm just picking up more water to get different values. Some of these leaves kind of overlap. And then I have some bigger ones coming up over on this side. So this one I'm kind of just doing a little bit smaller leaves as it works its way up on this one. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we do have some bigger leaves right there. Let me add that in. I'm going to do this gorgeous like black green color on this one. Okay. Now, that was step one. That was just like the larger elements. Now we're going to put in the medium-sized elements. So I'm going to start by putting in some berries. So I'm just going to grab some red. And wherever, again, you can follow how I did my wreath and just look on this for reference of where I placed mine. Or you can change it up to whatever you're thinking for yours. So I'm not going to do all of the berries right now because these are all a very similar value, and I want to leave some space for some lighter value berries. And then there's some kind of coming up this way. Put some berries over here. Okay, that's good for berries. We're just gonna let that be for a second. We'll move on to some more medium elements, and then we'll put some lighter value berries in there too. So I'm gonna start putting in like my fir tree stuff. If you wanna switch to a 2 at this point, you're welcome to. Even with 6s, I would like to point out that rounds are really wonderful because all of them have a very narrow tip. So even if you have a round 10, you can still get, or round 16 or round whatever, you can still get really thin lines. But if you're just starting out and you're having trouble controlling the pressure, then the small brushes are easier to use because even if you accidentally press too hard, since the whole thing is smaller, you won't get as thick of a line. But if you're comfortable with adjusting your pressure, you can still get really thin lines with larger brushes, and you don't have to switch to a round 2, which is why sometimes I forget to say to switch because I know how much pressure I need just because I've been painting for a while. So just putting that out there, you can decide when you want to switch. And also, there's no wrong. So even if you want to use a round 2 for the entire thing and that's easier for you and that makes you feel better, do it. Do it. You know what I mean?
It's your brush.
It's your brush, it's your painting, live your life, do whatever you feel good doing.
It's your wrist, elbow, and shoulder that you're using to paint.
Yeah.
So you do you.
You do you. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to just have some little branches for Christmas branches. That's what we call them. That's their technical name. Look it up.
Yeah, you can Google it.
It's a thing. And then I'm going to mix a little bit more brown on some of these to get like a really desaturated. And then like depending on how narrow or how wide you want them to be would affect the angle that you are pointing out. So like if I want this one to seem like thicker and bushier, then when I do my little things pointing out, they're coming out pretty wide. Where this one, they were coming out at an angle, so it made them seem narrower. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
So you can just do whatever one you feel good doing.
So speaking of Googling things a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
I Googled the history of wreaths
Okay.
because I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they made me think of looking down at a bald man's head.
Yeah.
Which is great. One of my favorite pastimes.
Looking at bald men's
Yeah,
heads.
yeah, yeah. They're so shiny. I want to see my reflection. So there are 2 different schools of thought. One, members of Greco-Roman society
Yeah.
would hand-make ring-shaped wreaths using fresh tree leaves, twigs, small fruits, and flowers, worn as headdresses. They
Yes.
represented one's occupation, rank, achievements, and status.
Oh, so the
Yes.
head wreaths they wear would show their status.
Right. The other train of thought, which I think relates more to us in the Midwest, were Christians assembled Advent wreaths to symbolize the strength of life they showed by preserving through the harsh forces of winter. And I feel like that rings very true in Missouri because we can have some harsh winters.
Yeah.
So,
This one's going to be intense, I feel.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
I'm nervous about it.
Maybe there will be enough snow to sled, and that's it.
Is that the dream?
Yes, I haven't sledded in years.
Okay, and then I'm starting to do, just for variation, I'm starting to do some rounded leaves. So it's the same idea, except they're rounded at the top instead of pointy at the top. And then you do a stem. These are kind of like eucalyptus, but not really, because they're more flat than that. They're probably a real plant, but I don't know the name. Keep going this way. Do some sticky out branches. And you can see that I have a line here, my guide line, but I am doing things that kind of stick out from it because I want it to feel more full. But just so you guys know, as we build this up, you just have to keep the circle shape in mind. So this is feeling very vertical to me. Instead of a rounded edge, which is kind of what we want. So when I do this edge, I just have to be careful of, you might have to like add, like I would probably add something coming up right here, which I'm planning on doing anyway, to help keep that circular line in mind. Okay, let's do some lighter berries. So I'm just gonna grab, ooh, make sure you rinse all that green off. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of red. So I'm just doing a little bit so it's a lighter value. And then putting some berries in, like so. And filling out where the berries would be. See, doesn't that feel more full with the lighter values and the...
And I just love the red with green. I just love Christmas colors.
They're good. And they're complementary colors.
Yes, they are.
And of course, if you want to go back and put darker ones, even though we've already done the dark part, there's nothing wrong with being like, ooh, but I think some darker ones would look better right here. Like, you guys can go back and forth on your thing. There's no hard rules about it. Okay. And then at this point, I'm going to start putting in some twigs, because I do have quite a few stems and twigs here, so that's going to help me kind of, again, frame up my wreath and kind of give me an idea of where I still need to fill in some areas. There's that. I'm going to have some coming off my berries. Maybe I need to get some kind of coming up this way. And if you want to put some stems on leaves, you can. You can just run it through. You just want to make sure that your leaves are dry. If they're wet, then this brown stem that we're making right here would just kind of bleed out and not keep a sharp line. So if you want a sharp line, do it while it's dry. Okay, so now I'm starting to connect the elements. They're now starting to like feel as one, and I can see where I have some gaps missing. So here and here, it's a little too bare, and here it's a little bit too bare. Everything else is feeling pretty good. So I'm just gonna add some Christmas tree furry things. Needles?
Needles.
Thank you.
Sometimes I'm really loud out of nowhere, and I apologize.
Oh,
when I just yelled needles.
Needles! What was it that, was it bush? Is that the word you said?
Bush.
What was that when I was?
You were saying, you grab your brush, and then you kept talking for a second, and then you just stopped. You're like, did I just say, and I go, bush.
Bush. That's all you said.
Brock's been saying it for weeks for no reason. He just, out of nowhere, just goes, bush.
Bush. Did I just say bush? Okay, and then I'm going to add some more down here. Now, this is not this fun little detail that I'm going to tell you about. If you have the kit, I'm sorry, because you won't be able to do this, but if you subscribe to our monthly box, we have a bonus in the box, and that is this iridescent ink by Dr. P.H. Martins, and it's metallic and it's super fun. And I brought some here because if you're a subscriber, you already have it in your box, and you can just do little add-on elements in this metallic bronze color, which would be so beautiful.
Like a bow or a string.
Yeah, or even just like some leaf details. So I'm going to put some on my palette and put it in there. And I would like to also say that there's a bunch of different colors of these, and we have them on our website, and they look gorgeous on black paper as well. So if they're not showing up as metallic-y as you want on the white paper, if you put it on black paper, it's very nice. So I'm just going to kind of put in. But I will say that these are an ink. They're not a watercolor, which basically just means that like you won't get the same smoothness and value changes if you add water to it. And also once it dries on your palette, it does not reconstitute where the liquid watercolors do. Ooh, look at that hint of gold. Doesn't that look nice?
It looks great on the side cam.
Oh yeah, because you can see it shining.
Yep.
You can even do some like the little veins on your leaves. You can like if you're feel good brush lettering, you could do like gorgeous lettering in the middle, Christmas cards. We're thinking about you guys. Also, we have wonderful lettering tutorials on our same YouTube channel if you want to try lettering. Our lettering artist, Nicole, is fabulous, and she has a lot of fun projects for you if you want to look into that.
And a lot of tools that she's designed to help you learn easier.
Yeah, lots of practice sheets, and she really breaks it down. It's really helpful. Oh my gosh, this gold is so fun in it. I'm gonna have one coming this way.
Is it gold or bronze?
It's not gold. It's bronze.
It's bronze.
Good call, Keenan.
didn't want to send the wrong message.
Yeah, no, you're right. I should be accurate in the colors that I use during educational tutorials.
It's a little helpful.
It's sometimes helpful. I don't know. Oh yeah, let's do a gold one kind of coming up this way. Okay. It just adds a little bit of pop, you know?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to move on to the other colors and just start adding. Now we're moving on to step 3, which is the smaller elements. Did I just do step 4 accidentally by adding some details with the gold elements? Yes. But that's okay. We could do more. But I just got really excited and I wanted to show you guys that you could do that. Okay, so now we're doing the really tiny elements. So that would be like these little tiny dark leaves that are poking out here, the very small Christmas fir tree twigs, and then like the veins on things, that kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna go for it. And sometimes it's just like these little small things that you add really just like fill it up nice and gives it a really good finishing touch. And this is a great tool to use if the, how do I say this, the shape of your circle is starting to get wonky. I will use these smaller elements to round things out. So like here in this corner, because it's on the bottom right-hand side, this is feeling pretty sharp, almost square a little bit. So I can just use these small little branches to kind of like round things out a little bit for us. So they're basically tools to help hide things. That's what I use them for. And maybe...
Well, it looks like it worked fantastically.
Yeah, does that look more round?
Yeah.
Sweet. And probably over here I'll do that too. Coming up this way. Yep, that rounded out more. I'm going to do it over here. That, and then I feel like I need to finish off the top part on this side a little bit more, so I'm going to do one of those rounded edge. Really light value, and this is another trick that I use, which is if you need to fill a space, but there is not enough space to like do a whole thing, I will paint something there, but I will do it in a light value, because if you do it in a light value, it fills the space without actually attracting too much attention to that space. So when I do like bouquets or things like that, if I have like this really weird edge or really weird awkward space that it's like there's not enough room to do a full flower, just do like a small really light value element to fill it so it doesn't look empty, but then it doesn't detract from everything that's going on and mess up your composition. So I'm going to do, that's too dark, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. There we go. That. And then, since that was sticking out from my line, I need another little thing right here to kind of bring it back to the shape of the circle. Like so. And actually I'm going to add some berries up there. Let's do a few. And you don't have to do so many. There's a lot going on right here, but if you just want to do like 1, 2, 3, that works too. They also can be smaller. They don't have to all start out so big. I'm going to add some more twigs. There. And then I have some kind of branches that are just like, doesn't have anything on them, so I'm adding a few more berries. Okay. Yes, I think we're about there. And then the very last step is, now that we've like shaped our wreath, we take a step back from it and we're like, okay, are there any funky parts that I need to address? Are there any details that I can put in there that will help it feel just nice and finished? So this is where like putting in some of those metallic accents would be great. I'm going to do some veins. Maybe you want to do some lettering in the middle. If you're not comfortable with lettering, and you're way more comfortable with watercolor, what I would suggest is actually doing your lettering first and then painting your wreath, because it is so frustrating when you do an entire painting and then you try and do lettering and then your lettering looks bad and you're just like,
I get that feeling all the time.
Keenan's like, daily struggle for me.
Preach, sister.
But for me, who I don't feel as comfortable with my lettering as I do my watercolor, when I know that I will be doing lettering in something, I do that first. And then that way I know I'm gonna like it when I add the watercolor to it. Okay, so for me, I feel like there is a hole here. And also I still feel like I need something coming out just right here, just a little bit, but just to really bring in that narrow shape. So I'm actually just gonna add some berries there, here. Like so. And then the little element I'm gonna have sticking out, I'll do another little round thing. I could do another Christmas tree twig thing, but there's like a lot of them in a row right here, and so I kind of want to mix up the elements. But if you like to do the Christmas tree twig and that's what you want to do it. Okay, that feels better. This I feel like needs to be darker. Or I wonder what it would be like if you mix a metallic with a watercolor. Should we see?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to grab some of this bronze, and let's grab some of this pine green. Yes, I'm going to repaint one of these leaves. Ooh, how does that look? Oh, that's such a pretty color.
From the side camera, it looks awesome.
Let's do another
Also
one.
From the top camera. And from my angle.
From all the
From
angles.
all the angles that I can currently see, it looks really cool.
Maybe I'll do some detail in that. That's really pretty. Ooh, I wonder what it would be like if we mixed it with red. Let's see.
And do a berry.
Yeah, let's do some gold berries. Some bronzed berries. Technical. Oh, ho, ho. Look how pretty that is.
Is that orange?
Yeah, well, it's going to make it a little bit orange because this is yellow, essentially.
Okay.
So when you mix red with yellow, it's going to give it like
That's
an
a rich
orange
color.
like pinky color.
Yeah.
Which is really pretty. Let's do some berries with that. Maybe not all of them, just a few here and there.
The old Midas touch.
Yes. Oh, this is beautiful. And if you bought the kit individually and didn't get the subscription box and you're super bummed because I'm talking about this paint that's not in your kit, you can buy a full bottle of this on our website. So you can absolutely still join in on the fun. Just for our subscribers, we just want to start giving them different materials that they can start trying. So if you are a subscriber, you can expect fun little surprises like that in your boxes. So
Also, a full bottle is much larger than what we put in the subscription.
yeah, the full bottles
I didn't realize how big
big.
they were. They're large.
They're pretty big and they'll last, and they're great for lettering. I think that's actually what their purpose is for, is
they're
for calligraphy.
Yep.
But I painted some things with them, and they were really fun. So they're fun, especially for those little details. Okay, and then you can erase your top line that is showing. Now the other pencil lines should be covered up from all of the painting. And that is our holiday wreath. That's it. If you painted this with us, I cannot wait to see it. Did I say that right? If you painted this with us.
Yes.
I would love to see it, and so would other people, because it's really fun to see what other people come up with, and you learn by seeing how other people approach the same things that you're doing. So if you're on Instagram, you can tag us in it, Let's Go Make Art, or hashtag Let's Make Art. We have a Facebook where you can tag us using those same tags, or if you're not comfortable sharing the artwork because you're just starting out and you don't want to put it on your personal page because you're afraid people are going to think that you're just trying to get attention, we have a wonderful Facebook community called Let's Make Art Watercolor. Great place. It's big and there's lots of skill levels in there. However, it's a wonderful place to start sharing your art, getting comfortable with putting yourself out there, and also just seeing how other people are approaching the same projects. So that's called Let's Make Art Watercolor. And if you need any of these supplies that we have used, you can find them at letsmakeart.com. And that's it. Bye.